critical of this shutdown from the outset, saying it never should have happened, never should have come to this, even at times criticizing your own party. So I want to ask you, why did you ultimately decide to support this agreement? And where do you stand on the growing number of Democrats who are calling for Leader Schumer to step down in light of the shutdown deal?
Oh, there's a lot there. Well, first of all, it's not like I agreed to that. I mean, I've been consistently. Now, remember, this all that went back to March. I effectively kind of led the charge now that it's wrong to shut our government down. And then enough of us realized that that's just too risky and that's too much chaotic. And then we kept it open. And I know there was a lot of backlash for that. And I declared back then, we'll be right back in the end of September, and I will be there too, because it's fundamentally the wrong thing. When you're confronting mass chaos, I don't think you should respond with more chaos or fight with more chaos. It's like, we need to be the party of order and logic and now respond in a way. And now I refuse to weaponize the SNAP benefit for 42 million Americans, that rely on feeding themselves and their family, or making flying in America less safe. Or I refuse not to pay our military and all of the unions attached to all of this and people. So for me, it's like I don't agree with that tactic to respond to the circumstances that we're confronting on this.
And can I just follow up? Is Leader Schumer, in your mind, the right leader for this moment for Democrats?
I'm saying that it's like that's not really my concern right now. It's not like a leadership situation. It is, we are living in the backlash of the election. It's been effectively a year now. America decided to put us in the minority. And now in terms of leadership right now, what defines leadership? For me, I think that's order and logic. And now voters are going to respond to more order and the more kinds of not violating our core values to plunge our country into chaos for 42 million Americans. Food security, that's really parts of the essence of kind of people that I fight for. Now we have to be able to disagree on these things. And if you can't, and now as a committed Democrat that vote 90% of the Democratic line, that might be a bigger problem with our party in some way, that a committed Democrat from the most difficult and purple state in the country says, hey, I'm trying to call balls and strikes in the middle of this chaos.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations, and a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown. I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from. And because we vote like that,